Welcome to Assessment 2 briefing. Now, the purpose of this is to give you an idea on how we can address the tasks of Assessment 2. Okay. Now, again, this assessment is due in week 7, and let's have a look at the tasks. There are a few tasks in here. The first one is the risk assessment. The assessment is basically about risk assessments. Okay, that includes the risk event, likelihood, consequence, treatment plan, and action plan. Okay, so they are the ones that we need to address. Okay, you need to refer to assessment 1. The information that you research in assessment 1, you continue that for your assessments 2, especially in regards to risk events that you have identified in assessment 1. Okay, right. So for each risk, we need to assess the likelihood, the consequence, treatment plan, and prioritize them, prioritize the importance. And in doing that, we also need to consider the rationale, right, to show that it is effective and feasible for the organization. Okay, and the other part is to develop an action plan, right? Following the treatment plan that we have outlined here, we need to look at the action plan as well. Okay, and draft the email for the CEO. Okay, now let's have a look at it. Okay, right. This is the email. Okay, you insert the date and you greet the CEO, dear Penny Beanskin. Please use the template available for you, and otherwise you may overlook one or two things. Okay. Now, what does your email contain? Well, it contains these things. Okay, the highlights. Remember, what is the focus of your assessment 2? The focus of your assessment 2 is risk assessments, right? Therefore, we need to highlight it. Okay, dear Penny Beanskin. Referring to a risk management process, for instance, please find below the highlights of our risk assessments. Okay. Now, what do you need to contain in terms of highlights? Definitely, again, what are the key points of risk assessment? They include these areas. You must include the risk events, the 4 risk events that you analyze in that you have identified in assessment 1, the likelihood. In terms of likelihood, you can also map them, rate them from 1 to 5, and another 1 to 5 here for impact or consequence, and priority and treatment plan. Okay, and then you close your email. Okay, but when you close your email, you also say, please find the attached risk management plan. Okay, right. So we have identified 4 risk events. Okay? In here. This is our risk register table. We need to analyze them. Okay, so let's say we have risk event 1. What is the likelihood? Let's say 2. What's the consequence or impact? 5. Guys, I would recommend you to use the rating scale 1 to 5 because that makes life easier. Okay. Now, in terms of risk priority, before we come to risk priority, we analyze the risk level. How do we analyze the risk level? We multiply likelihood and consequence. 2 times 5, we get 10. So now let's have a look at the next one. Risk event 2, we get 4 rating for likelihood and 5 rating for the impact. Therefore, we get 20 in here in terms of risk level. Now let's have a look at the next one. Risk event 3. Likelihood is 3. Let's say we also write the consequence as 3. As a result, the risk level becomes 9. Okay? And risk event 4, we have we identify the likelihood as 1. Yeah, it's quite little, for instance, and the impact would be 3. So the risk level would be 3. 1 times 3 becomes 3. Okay. Now, based on that, the highest is this guy here, right? This risk event. Okay, so this guy will become a risk priority 1. The second highest is this guy here. Okay, 10. Risk level is 10. Therefore, we the risk priority is 2. Okay, and the next one is this guy here. Okay, the risk priority, the risk level is 9. Okay, which is just one rating below the previous risk. Therefore, that becomes the third level. Okay, and this becomes our lowest priority because the risk level is the lowest. Okay, why do we prioritize them? Well, because we want to allocate resources, and this also gives us feedback if we need to elevate this to the next level. Okay, and we explain our treatment plan. Okay, our treatment. How do we treat it? Okay, and explain the reasons. Right, what we need to do in here. Briefly, what do we need to do in here? Okay. And the action plan will be detailed in here. What is the risk again? Let's say this is risk event, okay, 2, because it is the priority 1. Okay. What do we need to complete? Okay. This requires you to detail the actions. What actions you need to do? Okay. When do you need to do that? Who is in charge? Okay. You may also want to include the resources if you need to, how much money you need, okay? And risk event 1, priority 2, again, the same thing. What actions you will undertake, okay? And again, you explain the timeline, when you expect that to be completed, and who is in charge, okay? Either yourself or the store manager, and so on and so forth, okay? Now, we go back up there, okay? The third priority is risk event 3, and following that risk event 4. Risk event 3, and again, we explain the actions, okay? Again, explain the due date and the person in charge. And the last one is the risk event 4. Again, explain the actions, right? Timeline and person in charge, okay? So that's basically your assessment, okay? All the best.